It's the When Fishing Podcast. Applying techniques.
Then I put the C rigs on the A rigs.
Bringing fresh ideas.
They can't all be good ones.
Talking stories.
Oh,
Reports.
about 5 knots out of the wind.
Conservation.
You're probably too close.
All to make you and I better fishermen. My guest today is a connoisseur of America's fisheries, from the Northeast to the Pacific North and Southwest. He's a longtime friend of mine, first-time interviewee. He's currently a reel tech at Shimano, grinding out the salt from you guys' goddamn reels. His book, The Devil Has a Belly Button, will hit shelves August 27th. Please welcome into your ears, Jared Funk.
Howdy, everybody. Glad to be here.
So back to what we were talking about. I let him into the room, and then and we started talking fishing, and I'm like, wait, we gotta just hit the record button because this is what we do. So we were talking about the yummy flyer that's sitting around, and so I picked up what is it, the Boston Big Game kite, and it's like a fucking. It's from the East Coast, and I'm gonna rig it up to do it like solo on my raft, on my little green boat, and I'm gonna see what happens. But yeah, as far as trying to get it on the so fishing a kite solo sounds like bad enough. I was pretty hesitant to do it for a while, and then I finally decided to pull the trigger, but then if I get hooked up, the chances of it being like an enormous, I think I could fit maybe 150-pound tuna in my boat, and that's about the limit. And then after that, I would, if I'm going to keep it, I'd probably have to just saddle it to the side of the boat and hope for the best from there. But I'm going to actually rig these up with. A lot of people do like a single hook, a single 7691 Mustad. Are you familiar?
I am familiar.
So they do a single 7691 either right on top in like the middle of the body, or I saw that Ali Husseini endorses a style where he will like thread it through the tail, and so it'll be like just a single hook will be hanging out the back of the tail right there. And others will do like Dave Hansen, and he was at some landing making a video, and they do they glue a treble hook, like a 5/0 4X treble, on the back, and then they do the single in like the middle towards the front. So I'm just gonna do the single tail, single out the tail, because I don't like bluefin that much. Like I've eaten it a couple times, and it's like kind of whatever. So I figure I'm probably gonna release something that size, unless I have like places to dump it.
Do bluefin release all right, or are they get pretty tired after a fight like that?
I think so. I think so. I mean, I'm gonna do like I've got a 100-pound braid, and probably gonna have like I want to say it's 300-pound leader hanging out the front of it, so it's gonna be all crimped and stuff, and so I'm just gonna I'm hoping that with like that kind of like 100-pound is the weakest link, I should be able to catch and release them. I hope.
Very cool.
I really hope. Otherwise, you want 100 pounds of bluefin?
There's room in my freezer. I'm sure I'll take it if you have it.
Okay, good. Because oh, you want some Thresher, by the way? I've got some.
There's room in my freezer.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely good.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of it, so.
I'll take whatever you don't want.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Yeah. So, you've been working at the Shimano Reel Tech as a Shimano Reel Tech for
just about 3 months, a little over.
Okay, so that's about the time where I got moved. I was working at Daiwa doing the same shit, and I pretty much got moved over from the tech to the customer service, and there was just so little. It was like in a weird part of it was like beginning of 2021, so there was serious issues with like supply.
We're still
chain.
seeing that at Shimano, just a little bit with bearings and gears especially.
Yeah. So do you have like, do you know like maybe like a percentage of how many are just getting like shelved until further notice?
That I don't know. We're getting consistent deliveries of all that stuff. We're getting all our parts, but it's just kind of a give and take process a little bit. You know, like we get some bearings, and some bearings we're back ordered on for 3 months. You know, it just kind of depends.
I'm just gonna fuck with this real quick. Get rid of those gates. That was a little. Sorry. You said what did you say?
Just like some of the parts that we're missing, we'll be waiting for a little bit, and there's some problems at the ports too with containers getting delayed.
Right.
So it's just kind of win some, lose some in terms of parts at the moment.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember like at least I don't know like a lot of them were like 2-3 months out. Some of them were 6 months out. Stuff like that. Like
I haven't seen any delays up to that 6-month mark, but
yeah.
1 to 2 months is pretty common with the parts that we're looking at. And most of the stuff is for the really popular like Talicas. That's a tough one. Gears for Talicas are back ordered all the time.
Yeah.
So we get them and then they're just gone immediately.
Yeah.
But I mean, some parts we'll get and we just have all the time, but
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good note for Talica folks. For
just maintain your stuff and don't let it get trashed in the first place. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, like if like you know how gears get fucked.
I mean, most of the stuff that I see are just the stuff that's real bad is just completely corroded. If you're letting salt water get all up in there and drying in there, that's what's really going to trash them. Is it'll just get corroded, and then when you start turning, all you're going to get is the crunch.
Yeah. Do you see like people maybe putting down the drags too hard?
Oh yeah, we see that a lot.
Yeah.
Like the preset knob on top of the lever, you'll just crank that all the way down thinking it'll tighten your spool, and that's not what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's try and keep your reels at like keep them powered at around like 25 to 50% of capacity for like for longevity's sake. That's kind of.
There's also some pretty handy material that it might come with the reel. If not, you can find it online for how to set your drag properly with a scale.
Yeah.
Doing that is definitely what we recommend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wash down your fucking reels, people. It's funny like what you see like we were talking about it on the way up to the apartment. There's just like fucking tablespoons. Like maybe I've seen as much as like a quarter cup of salt like come out of someone's reel before. It's like
yeah, it can get pretty bad. It's pretty ridiculous the torture tests people put your gear through.
Yeah. And then they hand off their reels to you and say you do it. I mean, it's at least they pay, you know.
Sometimes.
You're paid to do yeah, that's true. Sometimes they try to push it off as warranty service, and it's like,
Got a handful of those in my desk right now. I've been going back and forth with a guy who's saying that boat rash should be covered under warranty, and, you know, it's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So that's a fun battle with customers where it's like what is and isn't under warranty, and it's like not everything is under warranty, but it's
I'm gonna have to remind myself to like turn my head when I have to like breathe or something. Like I feel like I can hear myself breathing a little bit.
It's fine, honestly. So far I'm kind of paying attention. It's not too bad. I definitely noticed for like my first I switched microphones twice. I had them around, so it's no problem. But like, I started with one that was really sensitive, kind of like that one, but different. And like, and I just realized that I was just kind of moving saliva around in my mouth too much because I'm like so focused on just like presenting like what I'm saying, and like there's just a lot more mouth sounds than like I normally make, I think. And so eventually I just went to the handheld because it's so I can just move it away real quick.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that that probably wouldn't be an issue for you. So so far I don't think it is. But
cool.
Yeah. So this whole podcast is just about how to make podcasts, just how to record podcasts, and with about a minute of fishing involved. So
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Gives me a new appreciation for like radio jockeys and shit like that.
yeah, no, it's. I mean, I got used to it with making music and stuff. So this was actually really easy for me to like. I drafted it. I put up and took down the first episode. Like half a dozen times or something like that before I told anybody that I'd even done it, so that I could like get it right, make sure that the mix was okay and like it came out through my car speakers without sounding absolutely trash, because there's a lot of podcasts out there that like are unlistenable just because they're not mixed well, because people just thought that they could just jump on a microphone and then release it, and it's like, yeah, you can, doesn't mean anybody's going to listen to it. So yeah, but yeah, how was your bongos trip?
Bongos was great. It was a 5 to 5 trip, so just the full day. We went out to San Clemente Island.
That's out of Newport.
Yep, out of Newport. I think they're affiliated with Davies Locker, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
But it was cool. We ran out there and saw some bluefin on the way out. Stopped on them, threw some jigs, but got no biters there. And then
How far out were the bluefin?
I don't know. Probably like a mile or two off the island.
Okay.
And then we went after those guys dove. We didn't catch any there. We went looking for yellowtail close to the shore, and it took us a little while to get on the yellowtail, but we were catching some pretty quality calicos, just cruising around through the kelp and the shallows. And then we started getting on a little yellowtail bite. I got my first one,
Nice.
kind of small, but just made it a little easier to scoop the heart out and chomp that down.
You did that. Damn. How was that?
It wasn't so bad, you know. It was kind of. I thought about it like doing a shot. You know, you just down the hatch, just nice and quick. But it wasn't bad.
Okay.
I would recommend anybody who catches their first yellowtail, you know, just do it.
Yeah, I totally forgot to do it. When I was just on a solo, or I was on a pelagic trip, like an overnighter, and I wasn't even with friends or anything. And so like when I caught my first yellowtail was like, it was like 10 inches long.
Oh,
It was like just like the rest of them were like 5 to 10 pounders, but like that one was tiny. I threw it back and like I didn't even think twice about it. And then once I caught the rest of mine, I totally forgot about the heart thing, and I'm glad I forgot about it.
it's never too late.
Yeah, I watched some Instagram story. Somebody threw up from it, and I was like, yeah, it's reasonable. So go on. You got your first yellowtail, killing the calicos.
Got the first yellowtail. Once I got mine, the bite kind of slowed down for a little bit. We were just cruising around trying to dodge the seals and all that junk.
That's true.
But we boated probably 6 yellowtails for the trip, and then ended up trolling some Mad Max on the way back and boated 3 30-pound class bluefin. First bluefin also, so
Yeah,
checked
congrats.
2 new species off the list in one trip.
And 2 good ones.
Yeah, pretty stoked.
Yeah, that's a sick trip. So congrats on that.
Yeah, and the crew was great too. You know, the captain did a good job putting us on fish, and deckhand Gage killing it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've heard really good things about them for a long time, as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you ended up riding with them. And did how many bluefin did you get for your party?
6 anglers, 3 fish. So,
Gotcha.
and it was kind of a team effort on the bluefin. We were trolling them, so we were just kind of swapping off on the rod, make sure everybody got a chance to fight the fish. And,
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. What color Mad Mac do you remember?
Sardine and an orange. I don't know what size though.
Okay, good. Yeah. I was looking at the there's like a mini sardine one at Sharkbait right now. It's like $20, and the rest of them were 30 for that size. That was a 130 size, which is not what anybody uses. I think everybody's pretty much settled on like the 200 size.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they were running too.
About that yay long.
Yep.
About like for the folks at home, like 7 inches or something, 8 inches maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. I refuse to buy a Mad Mac, even though it's what works. I've gotten like a handful of Yozuris, and Savage Gear has a really cool looking one, Max Stick, But yeah, I mean the Mad Max definitely work. So
I also don't believe that that's the only thing that works. Though.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
I mean,
It's just
fish
what's
with
it's
what
what's
you want.
it's what's pulled the most. So
Yeah.
that's what gets bit the most. I'm pretty convinced of that. So I refuse to buy in. But
I feel like a lot of the hyped baits are just a combination of luck and good marketing.
yeah, and those the price has come down on Mad Max lately. Like they peaked last summer or fall at like I think people actually bought them for upwards of $200. I
believe
think. And I just saw today that you can get them for at the largest size for like $60 or something like that, which is still more than I want to pay, but it's a lot more reasonable than that. That was wild. But yeah, but cool. That was yeah. There's a lot of bluefin of all sizes in between here and there. So were they about like halfway back on your way home, or actually no? I think I saw the island in the background of your picture.
Yeah,
right?
they were pretty close to the island, probably
Yeah.
like 20 minutes away or something like that. Not even actually.
Okay, so
You
probably,
could see the foams from the island.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's sick and tantalizing.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are.
it was a good bite too. It was like there's us and another boat that were just kind of cruising over the foamers or around them, and it was pretty much guaranteed. You go through them and you're gonna get bit.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, they can be fucking finicky as hell. I mean, I think I've only run into on my own. I've run into foamers maybe 3 times now. Two good foamers, and then one just like little tiny breezer. Like I saw like I don't know, last month or something like that. I came up out of Dana Point on some that were like it was just like a dozen, maybe 50 pounders or so, just working the tiniest piece of tiniest school of anchovies or whatever, and then they're like as soon as I threw my tatty on them, they were gone. And
Yeah,
that
that's
was
kind of how the first group, the ones that we saw in the morning, were just
Yeah.
like that. They were foaming for a little bit. We rolled up on them,
Yeah.
made 2 casts, and they were gone.
yeah, they're tough out here. I mean, I don't know, like up in the Northeast, it sounds like they're really not nearly as boat shy, or other fisheries in general, I suppose. But like over here, like it is so tough to get within, casting distance or stay within casting distance of them, and like it's it's fucking tough. Which is why you gotta set the Mad Max like 100 yards back or more.
Yeah, we had them pretty far back.
Yeah, so that's they're fucking bullshit. But I'm still over invested in these fucking bullshit fish and still haven't got one. So congratulations on beating me to that one too. I sold Jared a rod. This it was like an 8-foot medium heavy Terramar or something like that, and Torium like first gen Torium 14, and then it's a really nice little combo, and you've put good
I use
use
it
to
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just redundant for me, and I was like trying to catch a thresher, and then you went out on like a 3/4 day or a half day
Yeah,
boat
just
or
got
something.
one off of dumb luck.
And then you got a thresher like just on like a dropper loop or something like that.
Dropper loop anchovy.
Drop on the rod that I sold you, and so it's like, dude, I've like spent like I've driven down from, I was living in Ventura at the time, driving down just to every county and trying every stretch of beach in like California looking for him this one summer, and then he got one like blind luck. And I finally got one, but
Yours is nicer than mine though.
that was a good one. How long was yours like fork length?
I don't know, maybe 3 feet,
Okay.
3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
You're talking just like the tail, right?
Yeah. So like, yeah, if you were just to like, if you were to hold it.
Yeah, probably like 3.5 feet.
Yeah, mine went 4 foot. I thought it looked bigger. I mean, with the tail,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that. Mine was, I think it was 8 feet solid or 8'1", measured completely out, and it looks fucking like enormous in the water. Like, but they have the coolest fins, like beyond the tail fin. You see them in the water, and they just seem like liquid themselves almost or something.
It's cool to watch them.
Yeah, like the the pectoral fins are like a little bit longer than most other sharks as well, and so they have this like very like ribbon-like appearance. It's not just the tail that's ribbon-like, so it's a really cool fish to see in the water in person.
I've actually never seen a thresher on the surface that wasn't hooked, so I'd really like to see that.
Yeah, the day that I was out and actually got one, like it was probably the same one. I saw it jump in like half-hour intervals or something. It was probably like, I don't think it was even 3 feet fork length, but so it was pretty small. And that was the first time I ever saw them like free jumping. And like before that, the only time I'd ever seen them just out in the wild. And everybody else talks about them like they're really easy to find, easy to see and stuff. And I saw one last fall that was like, I was leaving the harbor and there was this, it looked almost like a bill actually. I was like super confused for like 10-20 seconds where like I saw this bill kind of like hopping around and I'm like, what's going on? And then finally I realized it was the tail of a thresher, and like it was like slashing in a really peculiar way, and that was the only time I've seen one. But yeah, they're fucking cool. I think I could get a tattoo of one of those.
That'd be sick.
Yeah. Do you have a tattoo?
I don't.
Would you get a tattoo?
I was thinking about getting a salmon. I know like a Chinook kind of.
Yeah.
That's probably the thing that I've fished for the most.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorites. So.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, I want to while we're here, I figured we'd dive into your history, just 'cause that's what you do on fishing podcasts, and see if I know. I feel like I know your history pretty well, but at the same time, I feel like if we really went into full interview mode, I could pull some cool shit out of you.
You're
that
probably
I didn't
right.
know. So, but if you got the Chinook tattoo, would you? What style would you do it? Would you do it like Native American style?
I don't know. I mean, I like that style, but there's also the cultural appropriation kind of aspect that I'd be a little worried about. I don't want to be that guy.
That's fair. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm a little ways out from getting a tattoo, I think, but that's probably on top of my list if I were to get one.
Yeah, I think if the thing that's been like, well, if I were to get a tattoo, I think I would want a functional one, and so I would really want, like, for a long time I thought it would be like a mahi, and maybe it'd be like this, like the spine, like pin bones or whatever, the ribs going up like in like half-inch or inch intervals, and so I could measure fish against it.
That'd be cool.
And the other stuff, so like it'd be highly functional. But I just haven't seen like a style. Like everybody does like really kind of like a little overly cartoonish styles, and I want like really anatomically correct, but at the same time maybe a little bit of being a little bit liberal with it. I don't know. So I haven't seen what I wanted, but now that I finally wrote up the history, here we go. We're gonna deep dive, buddy.
Let's do it.
So first fishing memory.
First fishing memory. When I don't know how old I was. We were fishing. My dad. Well, I'll start with this. My dad. He was the one that got me into fishing.
Yeah.
And he learned from his dad, and we had a lot of really solid opportunities when I was growing up for fishing. My dad worked for Mustad Hooks for a really long time. They provided him with a company boat instead of a company car.
Oh, man.
So we fished a whole bunch on the Great Lakes, or specifically Lake Ontario, but a lot of the Finger Lakes too.
New York?
Yeah, New York. So we were fishing on Lake Ontario, and I caught a coho salmon that was about 18 pounds.
Wow.
And that's probably still my personal best coho, and I was like 7 or 8 at the time. So that's got to be right there. And then another thing that I remember when I was really young, my dad, we were trolling again up on Lake Ontario, or maybe one of the Finger Lakes, and it was a really, really slow day. And we had brought these double stuffed Oreos out on the boat. So he said, "Come here, we're gonna do something to get these fish to bite." So he took an Oreo, split the 2 cookies, ate the frosting out of the middle, and then chucked the 2 cookies, one on either side of the boat. And he was like, all right, you watch the rod. It's going to happen. Not 5 minutes later, boom, we're on. And it was a salmon. We boated him. And I've always brought double stuffed Oreos, if I remember. Every trip I go on, I'm bringing double stuffed Oreos just because of that.
Really? Did you still do that?
Sometimes, if I remember to grab the Oreos beforehand, but yeah, and especially if I'm fishing with Dad, I'll bring them out just for the nostalgia.
Yeah, that's cool. So, do you think you got started right about then, or were you getting started before that?
Before that, I was born in Washington. That's where my parents are from, and
Okay.
Back in the day, my dad was a guide on a lot of the rivers in
That's
Western Washington for salmon and steelhead. So I was pretty much in the drift boat out on the river since my mom would let him take me out there. So I grew up fishing. I've been doing it my whole life.
Do you think you got started at like 5 or?
Oh, earlier than that.
Really?
Less than 1. I was out on
Really?
the boat. Yeah.
Your mom let man, like
Yep.
drift boats are whack. I mean, I guess they're all right, and your dad's a pro, like
Yeah.
literally like a guide and all that. But like, yeah,
I was out on the river as a little guy.
wow, yeah, that's cool. So when did you move from Washington to Northeast?
Washington to New York was in 98 or 99. I was like two and a
Yeah.
half probably. And then lived out there for 12 and a half years and moved out here in 2010.
Gotcha. So yeah, you moved out here in 2010, and then we met in college 2013. So were you my mind just goes absolutely blank in a zen state at the least opportune times. But that's zen for you. But so were you targeting mostly like coho, or were you like what was your like tree of growth with fishing? Like where did you start to take your own agency in fishing? Like, oh, I want to like work more on this, or I want to like know more about this.
Probably not until I was a little older, maybe like early teens is when I really started to like have my own knowledge rather than just kind of like piggybacking off of what my dad was telling me.
Yeah.
So we would fish for salmon, steelhead, and that's really where my dad is the expert. And we would also fish for bass in the Finger Lakes. There's a pretty big population of smallmouth and largemouth out there, and I think that's kind of where I started to really develop an interest myself, because when I was younger, the trolling game was a little boring for me.
I get that.
And I just wanted to be in the boat and cast my own rod, and that's kind of where the bass would come in. So I really started to have my own interest with that. And then once I moved out to California, the inshore game, like the spotted bay bass and that kind of thing, is really where I've kind of explored on my own.
Yeah.
Just doing the float tube kind of thing and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So
Did you start doing the spotted bass like when you first moved here, or?
no, there was a couple years where I wasn't even aware that they existed.
Right.
And then probably when I got back from college, I started doing just like walk around harbor stuff, and then got my float tube, and it was kind of off to the races since then. I've tried to go every weekend out there in Newport or Huntington, but
Right. Have you been lately?
not lately, just because of the whole like medical thing. I've
Yeah.
had a heart procedure a few weeks ago, and I'm still kind of recovering from that. So
Right.
I was out, I don't know, maybe 2 weekends ago, just for kind of a dip my toes in the water kind of thing. I didn't get anything. It was just a quick little after work adventure, but it was definitely good to be back out in the tube and
Yeah.
kick around. So
Are you fishing a lot with your coworkers?
yeah, we've been doing weekly-ish float tube. A couple of them have tubes, some of them have kayaks. So we're out in Newport quite a bit. Not so much Huntington recently, but that like right in the front of Newport Harbor next to the Coast Guard station where everybody goes is where we normally launch as well. So if you ever see a big group of float tubes and a couple kayaks, it might be us. Come say hi.
Sounds good. Shout out. Yeah, they. I haven't fished Newport in, I guess, pretty much a year now. Did I tell you about this? That like I basically like I lost my my parking ticket because with the boat you launch at the dunes, and it's like 45 minutes back.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
So so the like at other places you pay like at the ticket for the day. You pay for your ticket like before you go run through the fucking car wand fucking thing, the gate. Right. The gate, that's what it's called, Jeremy. Yeah, there you pay like at the end, and so I lost my ticket in the wind, and then like the guy was like, oh, it'll be $60. I'm like, what the fuck? Can I go look back, go like looking? And I guess. And so then like he like opened the gate and I just left.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna find that ticket, but I could have come back in, like received another ticket, and then just gone to the automated kiosk like next to him and been like, fuck you. Like at least paid for it, and like because now I just don't feel obligated to ever go there again. But
it kind of seems out of the way anyway.
It is kind of out of the way from here, and but I think that's a really good spot. I think Newport Bay is a really interesting fishery, and like I would be willing to fish it a little bit more often if I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
So
that's the only place you can launch the boat is just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I could like if I really wanted to like put it, I could assemble it all like on one of those beaches and stuff, but then I'd get sand everywhere, and and I'd also, I don't know, it's not really worth it to me. So yeah. I try to just launch in real places rather than like in other non-official places.
You just got to break into the float tube game.
Yeah, I know. I'm just afraid of seals, and
I've never seen a seal in the harbor.
What?
Maybe once
in Newport.
Maybe once.
They got their sea lions sink boats. Yeah,
dubious.
That's like they've sank like multiple boats because there are so many of them.
Oh,
they're so enormous.
They're fat and they just jump on the back.
They jump on the back and they just sink the boat, and then they go on to the next one.
I think you're giving these sea lions a lot more credit than they deserve. I don't know.
They're fucking assholes.
I've never been messed with.
But you've seen them.
I've seen them on the docks and that kind of stuff.
And I guess they would hang out closer to the bait receiver or the. Yeah, so they would hang out in the jetty mouth right there, and then they would hang out by like Davy's locker for the most part.
Right.
So, yeah, they're pieces of shit. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like my feet dangling in the water. But I do see the value of it. It would be like exponentially better than a kayak, to be honest. Just because you don't have to have you can micro adjust a lot easier. Like I was out with you that one time. And it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds in like the back of Huntington Harbor, and it was just like I had to cast, and then I had to adjust, and then I'd bounce my jig once, and then I'd adjust, and I'd bounce my jig once, and you're like 100 yards away catching fish, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
It's tough unless you have one of those like super fancy kayaks with the pedals and little spot lock shit and all that stuff.
How far are you away from that?
Oh, I'm a good ways. I'm pretty poor, so I'm got other bills to pay,
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know you want to get the pedal kayak, and it would be cool.
Every bill that comes in just pushes the kayak farther and farther down the list,
Yeah. Well, are you working overtime at all at Shimano?
Not quite yet. They still have me on like a temp kind of schedule.
Gotcha.
I'm not officially hired at Shimano itself yet. I've been working for him for like 4 months almost, but
when's that? Do you know when that period ends?
It should have ended 90 days. So
yeah,
it's
I dealt with that.
Not quite there yet.
I've dealt with that.
Hopefully I'll get on permanent like pretty soon, and we'll have dental insurance, which would be great.
Very nice. Yeah, I haven't been to the dentist in like 3 years or something.
Who's got that kind of time?
Yeah, and then my last dentist, it was like our family dentist in Newbury Park, and he ended up like just like he was kooky. He would just like most dentists, he would ask you questions that you couldn't answer because his fingers were in your mouth, and but he would go off on these wild tangents about like he'd be like like you think you're in control of your destiny?
Some heavy talk for the
Like,
dentist's office.
No way. No way, dude. Like there's like there's these things that are smaller than protons and like neurons and there's all this shit and they find that it's like that's in control, bro. Like there is these things, everything's in place, man. It's all fate. And it's just like, yo.
He's just over here talking about midichlorians. He's like elbow deep down your throat.
Yeah, it was fun, but like, and then he'd talk about other shit that was cool, but then he ended up like just bickering with his wife, who was the receptionist, and they were like, it was like kind of like, hair standing up on your back, like this isn't cool. This isn't your house. Like you got, because they'd be like, maybe if you did it, and it's just like, bro, like this isn't your kitchen, and I'm still a guest here. Like so, like that was the last time I went to a dentist. Can't trust them anymore. So no, I did set one up out here, but I haven't been. I really need to because I don't brush quite as much as I should. But
it's all about the flossing.
Yeah, I haven't done that since like 2007. So. What's your brushing? What's your you brush a lot? You floss a lot?
No, not enough.
Yeah.
I brush every day, but flossing not so much.
Do you at least do you drink water after you drink juice to clean your teeth a little bit of all the acids and the sugars?
My doctor's been telling me that I need to drink more water, so they told me that you should drink half of your body weight in ounces every day, which seems excessive to me because that's like 100-something plus ounces of water a day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been drinking a bunch of water, but
yeah, that's what I would drink like when it was like 100 degrees out and I was delivering for Amazon for 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
I would drink. I was keeping track of that just because it was like just became an enormous number that I was kind of like, wow, look at me. I just drank 150 ounces in like 5 hours. Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And I didn't pee.
See, that's the crazy thing, because I'm over here sitting at home drinking 100+ ounces a day, and peeing like 13 times a day.
This is what happens.
It's a good intro.
Yeah, there we go. That's the outro, because it doesn't have the voice. So like that's my shove off where I was like, okay, you have a safe time out there. Okay, good luck, and then everybody. Yeah.
Well, it seems like we made our time at least.
Oh yeah, no, I'm hoping. So I have obviously you're here now. You're the first guest, so you've saved the podcast.
All right.
I think I did 13 episodes, and the last one was about a month ago, I think. And I tried recording one like 2 weeks ago or something like that, and then like I tried to record them on like Thursdays and then release them Friday or Saturday, and then my girlfriend would, for whatever reason, she would be like at home on like all Thursday, and I just wouldn't like want to record while she's like hustling, bustling around, and I'm just talking to the wall and shit. It's weird, but then I just kind of got to a point where it's like, I don't think I'm saying enough. Like by myself, I'm not learning enough like every week to really put together this like 30-minute like thing that's an informational diary for me and others. It just felt like, well, I did the same fucking thing again, and it's like I don't know, what am I doing? Like I got to make sure these are good, kind of. So I went on a writer's strike for the last month.
That's timely.
Yeah. So now we're back. We don't need writers. Like Vermilion rockfish.
Right.
There's like sunset rockfish now, and it's like, when did that happen? Like, and they look the
just
same.
Like a cross between vermilion and some other.
No, I'm not sure if it's a cross. I don't think it crossbred. I think I don't know. I'll ask him. I've got him set up for the end of the month, and so he would be my second guest. And the commonality between you two is that, well, first of all, you're both into fishing, but second, you both have a Spotify playlist for sea shanties. So
Nice.
there we go.
Gotta love a fellow shanty lover.
So I thought that was funny. I was just trying to find podcasts that he was in so that I wouldn't ask him the same questions and get a vibe for what he's like. But he answered my email in just the most like casual way. I was just like I wrote this whole thing up like you're like kind of inspiring to me, and this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. Like, would you mind coming on? And he was like, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I said, all right, I'll follow up in a week. He was like, Roger, like no punctuation, no nothing. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
It's a good vibe.
And yeah, and like I listened to the podcast with him, and I was like, yeah, dude, yeah, I think I still like this guy. I was a little worried that like I'd meet him and you meet your idols or whatever. I don't know if he's an idol, but he definitely. What I realized is he made me. I went to Humboldt for fisheries, and then I was like, no. And I realized right before I got to college, it's like, no, I'm not a scientist. I'm a writer. Like I like writing about fishing, or I like writing about fish, but I can't do calculus. So, and that's a big thing for fisheries biology. Apparently, I don't know. I'll
You're
ask
talking
him.
to a Bachelor of Arts person over here, so I'm
Yeah.
not doing that shit either.
Yeah, how's that going for you?
Well, I don't use my degree in my job, so
Yeah, that's good on you. Got you all the way here.
yep, here we are.
Still not in the streets. So
Yet.
Yet. Did you start like bugging out on bugging your dad or bugging going through your allowance money, like picking up like bass lures like early in life or
See, all right. So when I was a kid, I was like the most fortunate young fisherman because I didn't have to buy anything.
That's right.
Like Mustad literally hooked us up with pretty much anything we would need to catch fish, and whatever Mustad didn't hook us up with, my dad was already buying for himself. Yeah. So I'd just be going out on the boat using his stuff. And then once we moved to California, we moved here because he started working at Shimano. So he was pretty high up in Shimano for a little while he worked there, and took home some rods and geared us up for a good little while. I didn't have to start buying tackle until I was probably like 17 or 18.
Nice. Yeah, that's yeah.
Pretty much living the dream. I'm like one of those nepo babies in Hollywood. You know?
No, that's a nice setup. I mean, I remember going over the first time I went to your house and saw your garage was, I guess, when was that? I was like 20. I was 23 or so, I think. Yeah. So when was that? That was like 2018 or something like that. And I just remember a wall of steelhead rods.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Steelhead and old bass rods, just like a bunch of stuff that he's just accumulated over a career of working in the fishing industry.
Yeah, it's sick. And then you gave me some of those. What was the name? I don't know if we need to name the company, but remember that hook, the company that he just like.
Oh yeah, yeah. Zone lock hooks. Yeah. Don't buy them; they suck. Yeah,
you gave me some. They're sharp, but I mean, the owner, I don't know if he's so sharp. So
doesn't seem like it. I don't want to. I don't.
Yeah. No, I don't need to bury people, but
hopefully there's not a lawsuit coming because of that.
No, there's
buy whatever hooks you want.
There are about 7 people listen to this, and you're one of them. So I'm not too worried about it, and I don't think anybody. That's the most advertising he's gotten, I think. Like I
don't even know if they're still in business. To be honest, I haven't seen their hooks in any stores or anything like that.
I never saw the hooks in stores. Were they ever in stores out here? Do you know?
I don't know. It's pretty much only bass hooks. They never really ran any saltwater hooks,
right?
As far as I know. So I think probably like Walmart was their biggest buyer, and even then, it seemed like it was kind of a struggle to get the hooks on the shelves.
Yeah, I imagine something like that would be like sort of niche tackle shops like inland, I imagine. Dude,
their whole thing was like bass. That was basically their whole shtick, was just bass. And the hooks just had like a tiny little bend right behind the barb, and that's what supposedly retained more fish. But, it's between that and an owner, I'm going to pick an owner.
Yeah. Yeah, I've still got those packs. I think I've just used the drop shots a little bit. They're Yeah,
They work.
they work.
Like
yeah, they're
fish get
hooks.
hooked on. Like,
yeah.
It's, at the end of the day, it's a hook.
I
you
mean,
know?
they were free hooks for me. I don't know if I'd ever buy them, but you know, they're sitting around. They will get used. Will I endorse them based on what I've heard? No.
You probably
But,
won't be sponsored. The podcast will not get sponsorship. Zone Lock Hooks.
Among others, this podcast is not sponsored by Zone Lock. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah. No, I've been buying too many I just had to test the waters for like what is usable on like cheap hooks online, and it's not much. Like buying unbranded hooks it's like they look fine, or they look as good as like an Owner or a Mustad, like, you know, chemically forged, like black that black nickel
Like the
thing.
nickel, yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's a, you know, that should be as good as anything. And like I've bought those where like I was using some of these like 4/0 for rockfish, and then I hooked a pin back as what is it, a spiny dogfish, and as I was trying to unhook it, like I'm like, you know, it's shark skin, so it's gonna be tough, but like I'm just trying to like wiggle that hook out as much as I can, and the hook just instantly straightens out. And I was like, okay,
Nice.
like that's limit testing. We're done we're not using that for anything serious. Like I can still, I think I might have thrown them out recently, and I tried using I bought like a pack of double pronged hooks, kind of like
frog hooks,
frog hooks, and I wanted to put them onto crankbaits as like instead of treble hooks, and they would like run. I like the idea of them on like crankbaits because like
Hook the ground less, or like hook the bottom.
or like hook. There's like gonna be one hook that's kind of like vying for space in the same space of the crankbait's belly, and so like I feel like the lineup of the hook points isn't quite as perfect as it could be, at least on some hooks, the way that the eye of it is like set up. And so I figured, like, why have, like, if you're gonna have two coming out like at, you know, like that, like off the bottom, like in a pretty good line compared to like I feel like only one is really, like, two are going to be like against the body and one is going to be away from the body for like a treble hook on the bottom of the crankbait. I know this hasn't been really an issue for anybody for the last 50 years where they would like actually change it, but I just like tripped out on it, and I was like, oh, that's something I can talk about and try and do that, like, and those hooks were trash, like especially like double pronged, and they're on the same shaft all the way through. Yeah, they bend out real fucking easily for cheap hooks. So like I think I'm gonna try it again with like Mustad Duratins or something like that. I think those would hold up a lot better. But yeah, I threw those out. Yeah. So
I've always been a big fan of them, either Mustad or Owner. I've never had any problems with either of those.
Yeah, I do really like Mustad, and Owner's also nice. I recently, or in the last year or two, I found what are they called? God damn it. What are they called? They're I think they're a Japanese brand. It's they sell them over at Shark Bay. They're it's like some,
it's not like Gamakatsu, is it?
No. It's Charlie Brown hooks. I'm gonna Google that. So they have people like them for like big game, for like marlin and quick rig. Have you heard of these? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're sort of a boutique hook. I think they act a lot like. Also, here's one of them. But yeah, they're just high quality hooks. I trust those a lot, and I hear the boys in New England really like them for their giant bluefin, and yeah, so
that's something I don't have a ton of experience with. We never did any saltwater fishing on the East Coast, and even on the West Coast, my like pelagic experience is quite limited.
Yeah,
I've always been more of a inshore / freshwater angler.
Yeah, no, it's well, On one hand, you're really not missing much with pelagics because you know, a lot of trips, especially if you're doing it on your own. Like myself, like 9 out of 10 trips are gonna be like whale watching at best. Like I've probably tried for tuna or pelagics like I don't know at least 3 dozen times or something, and I've seen like 3 foamers and caught 1 Dorado and lost 2 tuna. It's not much, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely like it definitely feels a lot more like hunter mode. I feel, but then like this year I'm really trying to balance myself. Where like last year I was like every time I go out on the boat I'm going to go looking for tuna because I've already put in this much time. I gotta keep going, and so I was driving myself nuts doing that. It's like, dude, go get bit. Like, go just like, so this year I wanted to like go once a week for pelagics and then once a week for bass and just like, it's like, yeah, I still know how to fish. Cause it's like, there was a point where I hadn't caught a fish in like 3 months and I'm like, what's going to happen when I hook the fish? Will I even remember how to use the goddamn reel? Like, it's like, so, yeah, I think I'm going to try the horseshoe on, in the next couple of days. Yeah, have you seen the bite? There's the local bite.
I know it's been pretty hot for calicos, especially, and sand bass on the twilight trips are insane right now.
Yeah. So the bass are really like loaded up on the horseshoe, and the barracuda showed up first, and then the bass really filled in. I haven't heard as much about the barracuda, but they're still around. And my last fish finder just finally took a shit. I don't know. I think that the little like power, the male connector on the fish finder for the power, like one of the pins broke or 2 of the pins broke, and so it was just that's it. Yeah. And so I picked up this one that's like I had this little, what is it? It was a Garmin Striker, and the GPS on it, it was like it knew where I was, but it was on like a white map with like absolutely no like relativity to it unless I put in my own coordinates. But it was this one. It does have contour lines. It doesn't have the Navionics that I have on my phone. The Navionics app on the phone is a fucking game changer. If people don't have that, they should get it. This is like what you get, where like say. So here's the horseshoe, and you can like zoom in and see like you can see this shit.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So like you can just look around for any little node, and like say I took you over, where was it? Oh fuck, right here. So it's like you just look for the tiniest little piece, and you go, yeah, there's probably a sand bass there. And then you go fish it, and it's like, yeah, like you can pull a couple off, or sometimes they're really stacked there. So that one, it was stacked in the winter, and it was pretty easy fishing on that. I could pull off like half a dozen fish on a seemingly small stone, and then and now like all the stuff that I was fishing, where like we had like a 50 fish day or something like that together, and that zone has completely dried up. But at the same time, I'm not really even sure because my fish finder stopped working, so I couldn't even see what was below me. For a while, I didn't need it because like that was just consistent for like 4 months or something like that. And once the fish finder died, and then the fishing did change. Now it's like, okay, what the hell is going on? So yeah, I got that working. I'm probably gonna use it tomorrow or the next day. Then I'm gonna put a stainless steel prop.
I saw that over there. I was going to ask about it.
Yeah, I switched over from Yamaha 4 horsepower back to a Mercury 6 horsepower. I had an 06 Mercury. That's what I used to have, and you've been out with that. It was sort of properly powered for the boat, and the 4 horsepower like was made it feel more like a pool toy. Like we were chugging at like 7 miles an hour or something to wherever we wanted to go, and so now you should jump back on the boat soon, and it should be a nicer ride. And then with this, this should add like a mile or two an hour. Hopefully.
Oh, nice.
I'm really hoping.
I'd love to get out there and throw some A-rigs around. I've never done that.
Yeah, so it seems like with the horseshoe right now, they're from the surface down all the way to the bottom, and I've been seeing people's like fish finder postings, and yeah, it's like that. A lot of suspended fish. So I know that as soon as I show up, I've had really bad luck at the horseshoe for just whatever reason, or just these like the spots that people talk about, like Isers or the horseshoe. Whenever I fish those places, people go, "Oh, caught 20 fish there in a couple hours," and it's like I can actually do that in other spots. I can't do it at these like mainstream. Everybody and their mother fishes Isers, I guess. But like, yeah, I can't. I just never have good luck there, so I don't even bother. It's like I'm gonna go find my own bite, and that's more fun, anyways. But I definitely want to like get over there, like try out the fish finder, and then I also want to try a fly rod on these fish because it sounds like they'll bite anything. So throw a streamer over it, and that could be fun. So as long as I stay out of the way of all the party boats, seems like they're all lined up out there. There's just half a dozen of them, one after another. So
it's just all those half-day boats trying to get their Instagram limits of sand bass. You know.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the best fishing that it's been like for them on the flats in like some say 10 years, something like that.
Wow.
It's been yeah, and then like you can blame it on a bunch of different things, like or the disappearance of the bass inshore around here. Like some people have like gone so far as like selling their tackle and their boats because like the HB flats used to be great and now it sucks the last 10 years, so they're like fuck it. The one that everybody would rather point to because it's not human caused by humans is a Humboldt squid. They came through 10-15 years ago and just ate everything. That'll do it, they're still around, I guess, but they tend to hang out deeper. And then the other thing is apparently, like the Mexican commercial fleet will catch sand bass, and then they'll grind it up and use it as fish food for the bluefin in pens.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's what I heard. I don't know if I should be like, I heard it from one or two people, so I can only assume that it's true. But it kind of makes sense. Like I hear that, like, yeah, if they're gonna do that, then they're never gonna get up here for like when they do migrate, and they do migrate from down south. And then the third thing would be that we reduced the limits from 10 to 5 about 10 years ago. I think I want to say sometime sort of recently. I know when I was growing up, it was 10 at 12 inches. Now it's 5 at 14 inches, which is very reasonable, I think. I think 5 at 14 inches. I still feel like when I keep 5 bass, I go, did I need to do that? Like, could I have, like, done that with rockfish? So I try to do that with rockfish. But in the wintertime, you can't catch rockfish and you get real hungry. So, yeah.
Are sand bass slow growing, kind of like calico, or do they grow faster?
I want to say that it takes about 5 years to get to that, to get to maturity. You know what? I'm gonna go grab the great book, the Certainly More Than You Want to Know.
Wow, that does look like certainly more than I would want to know.
They live to 33 years old. 50% of males are mature at 9 inches. 50% females at 9 inches, both at 3 years. So yeah, I think a keeper would be like about 5 years old, right?
Sounds right to me.
And then sand bass, spotties. Spotties are weird since they only grow up to like 5 pounds or something. So they live to at least 14 years old, mature at 6 inches.
And by spotties, you mean spotted sand bass,
Yes,
not spotted
sir.
bay bass?
Oh, they're the same.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Yes, sir. You ever? Yeah. They sometimes they look a little bit like a sand bass or something because they're.
I've definitely caught a bunch of spotties that are striped, kind of like sand bass. Too,
Yeah,
so
they have. Seems like some of them have a little bit more of that barred than others, and some sand bass will look just a little bit of spottiness, but I don't know if that's just like projection. by the fisherman. Where's a official length? 26 inches max length of a sand bass. 13.2 pounds. Oh, you fuckers. Yeah, they'll mature at 8 inches. All right, well, we learned all we needed to learn about that.
I feel educated.
I'm glad. If as long as I educated one person and wasted the time of everybody else. Let's see. Yeah. So, how much time have you spent fishing in the Pacific Northwest? Like, I guess just anything north of San Francisco.
We've done a couple of trips. So in college, we fished out of Eureka a handful of times. Just went out on, I think it was like a 4 or 6 pack boat. Just looking for salmon. Did that 2 or 3 times and did okay. The season up there is pretty good out of Eureka, and they've got a really good halibut season too, but we never did that. And then a couple years ago, fished Buoy 10 for a little bit up in Oregon. So I've done that.
What's that all about? What's Buoy 10?
So you leave out of Astoria, and it's right there on the Columbia. So it's where the Columbia River meets the ocean. And Buoy 10 there's a series of buoys just off the river mouth, and that's one of them. And it's pretty popular for West Coast salmon guys. They'll go up there and clean up the spring Chinook and cohos and that kind of thing. So fishing was pretty good there on cohos. Chinook was a little slow when we were there, but that's how it goes.
Gotcha. Did you ever have you ever actually I feel like you've caught at least one salmon out like from the rivers of like around Eureka, cuz like we've struggled.
Yeah, we my freshman year of college, or before freshman year when I was like visiting campus or something, my dad and I went up to fish the Trinity River, and we both caught one steelhead each from the Trinity.
It's pretty solid compared to the shit we did.
Yeah, the full weekend of no bites.
And I did the same thing by myself. I guess I felt like you were there in spirit.
I was.
You didn't bring the Oreos in spirit. It was that was a tough trip. What river was that? Was that the Feather?
Where we were fishing?
Yeah.
That was the Mad River, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. That was 2 full days.
Yep.
Sun up to sun. Well,
almost sundown.
Sun up
to mid-afternoon.
It was like an hour before sunrise, where like we couldn't see what we were doing, and it was fucking freezing. I think that was like 4:30 a.m. until like 4 p.m. or
yeah,
like
probably
maybe 3 p.m.
3 or 4.
And it was just miserable, just no bites all fucking day. And
it was tough.
Yeah, and I did the same thing on my own, looking for Chinooks on the Sacramento. I think that was, that turned into 3 full days. It was supposed to be 2, and then as I was getting out, I wanted to fish one more morning before I headed back to SoCal. And then I got, I saw these 2 guys like wanting to launch their drift boat, and they were like, "Hey, like, do you know if like we can launch down there?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, but it's like right above the big hole or whatever the fuck it is. There's a hole. It's called like Deep Hole or some bullshit."
I know the one you're talking about, but
yeah.
I don't know what it's called. I've never fished the Sacramento myself.
Yeah, so there's like a 50-foot hole in the Sacramento River above, I think below Redding or below Mount Shasta, above Red Bluff. That's what it is, above Red Bluff, and then they were since I was already parked there, they were like, "Hey, you want to like come with us and just like fish with us for the day, and then pick up the boat or pick us up so we can just pick up the trailer and do that whole dance." I was like, "Yeah, sure." So they and I fished another 10 hours, another full day, no bites.
Yeah.
So I'm really fucking snake bit on the salmon, and I really hate them. So,
They can be tough.
like so miserable. It's like, and it's so much like, at least coming from SoCal, it's like the time and resources to like go up there
Yeah.
is like, even if you're just camping, you're spending like $300 in gas to go there and back, and then spend like 3 nights camping. That's like $100 per person, and then you're eating fucking like hot dogs and chips and near beer
Delicious.
for like 3 days and not showering, and you're just suffering with fishing for Chinook, and they fucking, I hate them.
Yeah, it can be tough, but I mean, once you hook one, you know why it's worth it.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it, and I know that they're like, they look like a really, really sporty game fish, and so but I am so like, after that was like 2 consecutive years, I think. I just don't want to do it right now. I don't have the resources to do much. I say as I drop more money on a fish finder, but but it's fucking. I do want to get back up there with the Mosquito, and I'd definitely take you. We'll see. Maybe in the fall, if things are looking fortunate for me and I have surplus, then maybe we could go. But
That'd be cool. We should also think about trying to get it up to Oregon and fish with a guide.
yeah, I know. I want to do things by myself. I'm real fucking stubborn about that shit. Like, I really don't want to get a guide. But at the end of the day, like, it's like, do you want to catch a fish or not? Like, do you want to go? If you're gonna drive up there, are you gonna do it right, or are you just gonna like play with your nutsack for 3 days? Like, what do you really want to do? So, yeah. So that's where I'm split. You know me. I'm always like dodging guide
You
ideas.
could always go up for the weekend, fish with a guide for day one, and then
Yeah, and then try and put it together for ourselves the rest of the time. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, then it's just a matter of putting together $400-$600 for a guide, and then doing it right. So we should do that. We should probably do that.
I'd be down.
Yeah, should probably do that for the fish out here too. The fucking bluefin. Still haven't got one in all the time and money, but
The 6-packs, those boats are kind of crushing the bluefin right now.
yeah. There's one out of Huntington, Easy Sport Fishing, shot at, that they've been doing relatively well, and it's good to see a local crew getting it done.
I know Blackfish out of Newport's been killing it too.
Yeah, that's another good one. So yeah, hopefully the Kite puts things together.
I'd love to see you catch a tuna on the Kite out of the Mosquito.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous. Chris, do you follow Chris?
Yeah.
He's at least been towing the Kite the last week or so. It looks like he's been putting in a lot of time.
Is he still fishing out of an inflatable too?
Yep. He put it up for sale last week or something like that. So if he put it up for like, asking price was something like $3,000 for the outboard. He runs a 9.8 Tohatsu, 4-stroke. Same 15 by 4 foot boat. What else did he include in it? He included like the seat stuff, which is like an aluminum frame, kind of like a drift boat style, and some other stuff. But yeah, he's trying to upgrade to. He bought, what was it, like an Achilles or a Briss inflatable, which is more of a standard, like wider setup, where I think it's like 16 by 6 or 8 or something like that.
That extra 2 foot on the beam would be pretty nice.
Yeah, it would be really fucking nice. Yeah. No, you're telling me. Yeah. It sucks.
You could fit double tuna side by side.
Yeah. Like, it's funny that like I actually have like 18 inches of usable beam. It's like, how have I gotten this far? I don't know. I've gotten creative, but another 36 inches, like literally like doubles the size of the usable boat, and that's nuts. So
I gotta take a quick pause here.
okay, sounds good. You see the balloons.
Yep.
So Alicia got me like the 28 balloons for my birthday, and then and so she turned 28 like a month after me, so we just held on to him. And so then, like, the day that I went to go get him refilled with helium, like, in my head, I was, like, getting ready to, like, argue with, like, the Party City employee that, like, I was thinking that they'd be like, no, like, we don't refill them. You have to get a new one that, you know, we have to supply it for this to be, like, a fair business transaction or something. I was thinking they were going to say something like that. And I was ready to just be like, you know how many of these fucking things that I see in the ocean every fucking day that I go out there? You're going to use these. You're going to reuse these. We're going to recycle these. Fuck you. I'm going to just, like, slap them around against the wall. Like, I was getting really, like, mad for, like, an hour. And then I dropped in, and then, like, I hand him over, and, like, no problem. And then, like, there's, like, a $2.50 refilling fee. And then I, like, pulled out my debit card, and they were like, no, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, my God.
So nice.
You're so nice.
Never would expect charity from Party City.
I was expecting someone who was just, like, sick of their life or something, or, like, some manager who just, like, had nothing left in this world but the helium behind the Party City counter. So, yeah. So it was a nice turnaround.
Got to have something for your after-work party, you know.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe they're just sitting back there and just getting high on it. But
that's what I'd be doing if I was working at Party City.
Yeah. So,
no offense to all you Party City people.
So what's on your bucket list? What's the next thing on your bucket list for
Next thing on my bucket list would probably be Dorado. I have not caught a Dorado. I went out last year. We went out, and I was like one of 3 guys on like a 30 angler boat to not catch a Dorado.
I remember that.
And I was pissed about it. So that's definitely on my list. And I've heard that they're coming up right now. So hopefully they're on their way, and we can get out there and kill a couple.
Did you see Dana Point, the Real Fun, the half-day boat? They were fishing for calicos in 50 feet of water on the anchor, and somebody caught one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And they were just free swimming, and they actually bit. Like, they've just like last year, they're a little bit tough to bite. I think it's going to break open real soon. It doesn't seem like there's quite the same numbers that there were last year. Like last year
was insane. Yeah,
it was. Last year they just kind of hung out in between Dana Point and Catalina, and I guess there was another, like, I think there was another reasonable mass of fish, but there was a huge mass of fish that they were picking off of, like, around the 209. So, like, about 10 miles southeast of the southern tip of Catalina, and they picked off tens of thousands of Dorado off of that spot over the course of like 2 or 3 months, and like all the landings. And I guess there were some also like north of Catalina, I forget where, but I know that Long Beach was getting a lot too. But like we're definitely seeing them right now, but it's not quite the numbers. But you could definitely get one if you.
Yeah, I hope so. That would kind of really round out my first fish pelagic trio this year. You know, I got my bluefin, got my yellowtail.
Yeah,
I'd love to just round it out with the Dorado.
Yeah, if I never see one of those again, I'd be okay. After working on the boats and just seeing it, like, it was the only fish we caught for months, and that's just not like SoCal fishing. Like, there's always something. I think there was one yellowfin tuna in like the 5,000 Dorado I saw, and just like, yeah, it was ridiculous. But I really want to get I just feel obligated at this point to get the bluefin, but I really want to get like a in-state yellowfin. I think like they're around.
Cool. Yeah.
So that would like, and they're consistently good eating. I think the bluefin you have to like take extra care for. So yeah, I think the Dorado would be really good for you. With the bluefin and the yellowtail, that's already like a good year. And Dorado, throw in a yellowfin, get yourself a striped marlin.
Might as well.
So they hang out sort of local. There was like half dozen that somebody saw off of Newport, like in like 150 feet of water.
Oh wow!
They were just like cruising off like the Newport Pier, and that was several weeks ago. So they're around. They've filed in. They're in state waters. So yeah. And then there's this. I saw this article. It was. I think the article was more central to like San Francisco or something, but they were talking about how there's like our El Nino. It's like the El Nino is happening worldwide or in the Pacific or whatever. It's very much happening, but we're not really seeing the true effects of it yet in California because we've had the winds coming in from the north for an abnormally long time. So like this cool air has kept coming in like from Alaska and stuff like that, and just keeping the water temps down, while like the currents have been bubbling up down in like more like equatorial area like South Pacific. But as soon as those winds like lie down a little bit, it's possible. The way I interpreted the article, the waters could stay warm like from now till spring. So
Wow.
like we're not even gonna have like a winter. So I've been calling it the endless summer. I think that some crazy shit could happen in like the next year where like we could see like it's weird if we get it's pretty weird if we get like wahoo or blue marlin. I think we're definitely gonna get those. I think we could see like some black marlin coming in, which would be like those really only come up to like Cabo normally, but they could potentially pile in, which would be fucking cool.
That would be cool.
And like Creval Jack and roosters.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just call me when the rooster fish are here, man.
I don't know if the roosters ever actually show up this far north. I think I've
never heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of Creval Jack showing up a couple times. A couple people have gotten them in the surf in the last like 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's fucking weird. We could see some of that maybe. I really hope like it seems global warming is real. Sorry about it. But like if it's gonna happen, I really hope that it seems like there's a couple of cutoff points of where like certain species will stop showing up, and so like a lot of species in Southern California won't go past Point Conception. Like you won't really see calico bass north of Santa Barbara, and another one of those cutoff points is Magdalena Bay, which you might have heard of for like striped marlin fishing.
Yeah.
And roosterfish stop showing up north of Magdalena Bay. So like in my fantasy land, like Magdalena or like the cutoff point for Magdalena Bay, like that. I hope that fishery just kind of like over the next like 50 years or whatever just naturally transitions to be like Southern California. I think that would be fucking cool. And then maybe we wouldn't see. I think would calicos still be there? I don't think they really show. I think they do show up south of there, but like not as much. Like I think Cabria, like groupers and stuff,
That would be a really cool species for local water.
Yeah. So I mean, would it be catastrophic for my dreams to come true? Potentially, but
You win some, you lose some.
But if if we're gonna lose some, that's what we would win. So that would be fucking cool. So I hope that happens. But yeah, with the warm water, I think as long as you make a few just book a few charters, I think you'll be able to run in some Dorado. And maybe if it gets consistent, you could probably go out on with me. I just don't like going more than like 10 miles with another person in my boat when we're going so slow and stuff.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be like if there is some consistent stuff that shows up off of like Dana Point or maybe Newport, then I'd be down to go out there and slap them around with you.
Sounds good.
We wouldn't have any place to put any of those fish, but we just have to lay out the Dorado we catch on our laps. There's just no other room.
We can just fillet them right there and
and then just while they're alive.
Yeah.
And then and put them into like a cooler bag. I'd be okay with that. That wouldn't be too bad. Have we run our course?
Maybe. You got any bucket list fish?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get I'm trying to get the bluefin, I'm trying to get the striped marlin, and I'm trying to get the in-state yellowfin. And then, like, as far as other just bucket list fish, like, that are just, like, wild, I'd really love to get a rooster. I really wanted to get, I went down to Puerto Vallarta, like, this in the winter, and it was really, fishing-wise, it was a very disappointing trip. Like, I had, like, a 4-hour panga ride that I didn't catch anything.
Ouch.
Like, there were a bunch of, like, Sierras and Bonito, like boiling all over the goddamn place, and they wouldn't touch anything. And, like, we didn't have live bait, and I didn't even know we had, like, a live bait tank on the boat. It wasn't like obvious. It was actually like one of the storage compartments in like the transom. And if I knew that, I would have sent down a sabiki and at least like tried to catch some bait fish, and I would have been cool with that. That'd been new species. Then maybe use those for bait, but nope, didn't know about that. And but yeah, there was like that. They called me the day before I went out, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go catch Dorado. You like that?" And I'm like, "No, I don't never want to see another Dorado. Anything but a Dorado, buddy, please." Por favor.
Better than nothing, though.
Yeah, it would have been better than nothing. It would have been better. But yeah, so yeah, these like fantasy lands like down in like Central America, it's still going to be hit and miss. And I learned that after the fact. Like a lot of people like before it was like, oh, this is what you do. Yeah, you're going down to Puerto Vallarta, you got to go on the panga and you got to catch a bunch of all this shit. You're going to catch like roosters and stuff. And then like after I go, yeah, it was disappointing. Everybody else comes out of the woodwork and they go, yeah, it's disappointing about 70% of the time. It's like,
nice.
well, I wouldn't have spent the fucking, like, I am broke.
Yeah, that's
like,
some false advertising.
I threw like, $400 or $500 at this panga thinking that like I was going to get something new. And like, it's like, that's all my money. Like, let's get something new. And then it's like, nothing. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is a rich man's game. I get it.
Just think about how many margaritas you could have bought down there for $500.
Yeah. Virgin margaritas for myself. But, yeah, that was fucking bullshit. So.
How about local-wise? I know I'm still chasing my legal halibut from the surf.
Yeah, I'm still chasing a legal halibut. Yeah, many years. I haven't tried that hard, I guess. But, like, yeah, they're fucking weird. They're hard to find for whatever reason. I think once you crack them, then it's easy. But, like, in the meantime, it's
I keep seeing these guys online posting, like, yeah, I'm getting 3 to 5 halibut every trip. Like, what the fuck? How are you doing that?
Yeah, I see that shit. And it's just, like, you're not doing that much different. So, like, there's that one guy. I should really get him. I should get him on here. That would be a good idea. There's a California surf fishing guy. I'm sure you follow him. He's always posting pictures of like white sea bass and halibut and sheephead from the beach.
It's not like it's not Benji Kim, is it?
No.
Okay. I've seen some of his videos. He does like a YouTube channel for
I've heard of him.
Local surf fish. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's got some good stuff.
Yeah.
There is another guy though that he's always catching like big halibut.
Okay. I haven't seen that.
I'll send you a link.
Okay. Yeah, I mean this the California surf fishing guy. What I get from him is that he's always like working around like boilers with a bunch of seagrass. Yeah. And I hate fishing that area. I can
never work a bait through that.
Yeah,
I'm losing $20 stick baits for days doing that.
Yeah, shit. and just your bait never comes back clean. So I never have any faith that it's running clean. And it seems like he's got it figured out. And like he'll pull like sea bass, like,
is he throwing like weedless swim baits?
It looks like he's throwing weedless swim baits, and then he'll do some other stuff. I think he throws some kind of bait for the sheepheads because he gets into sheepheads like at will. It's
that'd be a pretty fun fight from the sand.
Yeah, no, those things will dog you. So like, yeah, he's got his program figured out, and but just. For my whole life, whenever I've seen people work the seagrass, I'm just like, how the fuck are you doing that?
Yeah.
This is like, I see that shit and I go, please, God, no. Like, I don't want, like, get me, like, God save me, get me out of here, helicopter me out. This sucks.
It's the same thing. Like, I kind of have the similar experience when I'm doing, like, freshwater, like, green bass or that kind of thing. Everybody's like, run your crankbait over the shit on the bottom and you'll get bit as soon as you bounce off a log. I'm like, I don't bounce off logs. I hang up on logs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess I've sort of started figuring that kind of thing out with the, like, how we were, like, trolling over hard bottom, and, like, sometimes it would be sticky, and, like, I started to understand that, where it's like, okay, like, you know, if I'm, like, within a few feet of it, then they're going to come up and ambush it. But it's like, if you're bouncing off of it, it's like, if you're not bouncing off of it, you're not getting bit. And it's like, dude, like,
I don't have that kind of money, right?
yeah,
Like,
it's like I lose 100 lead heads a day. It's like, bro, like, yeah,
Must be
I don't.
nice.
Yeah, must be, must be nice. You got it figured out. I mean, yeah, it's tough, dude. Fishing is hard.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's well, I feel like we did it. I feel like we ran our course here. So
good.
we saved the podcast. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, this was all right. I'll have you on again.
Sounds good. It's cool to see the other side after listening to all your episodes, and
Yeah, it's you know, it is what it is. It's nice to pull out like a nice microphone for a guest. Like this one's nothing too special, being a handheld. But that one's
never heard my voice come through so clear.
That was another thing where it's like I was kind of curious how you would react with just being on mic. Like you've never been on mic before, I assume. Like
nope.
So like yeah.
Other than like online gaming, I suppose, but
yeah, like
definitely a different caliber.
Yeah. So you have anything to say to Spotify? Just hi mom, or like.
My mom probably won't listen to this, but my dad might. So hey, Dad,
yeah.
Sorry about all the swearing.
I don't remember us swearing that much, but yeah, sometimes. I don't know, my parents catch me at the dinner table, like they're like, you've said fuck like 7 times and like you haven't taken a bite yet, and I'm like, I have, so like I'm just not aware
just
of
a generational difference.
So I didn't really notice it here, and like so but I just always mark the podcasting streaming things, like they ask like, is this expletive, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I think I mumble everything, so I don't think anybody can hear what I say to begin with. But it's, yeah, there's probably a bunch of fucks in there. I can't remember. So, yeah. So, I'm glad you had your Virgin podcast experience, and got the Joe Rogan mic in front of you. And we may not have any fringe geologists on, but it's a good time. I'll probably delete this. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, thanks for coming by and trying this out. So, cool. Great.